Welcome to Explain the Charts, your go-to source for in-depth market analysis. Today, July 31st, 2025, we are taking a close look at Ethereum, or ETHUSD, combining the latest news with detailed chart data. Recent headlines from our Google search reveal a strong bullish sentiment surrounding Ethereum. Just 5 minutes ago, A-Invest reported that FTX Alameda staked nearly $79 million in ETH to boost returns, signaling continued institutional engagement even from distressed entities. 44 minutes prior, the Ether Machine, a Kraken-backed firm, bought a massive 15,000 ETH at $3,809 to mark Ethereum's 10-year anniversary. With projections to become a major publicly traded entity with substantial ETH holdings via a Nasdaq offering. This institutional confidence is a huge driver for Ether's recent performance. Looking at the overall daily chart, we can already see a significant recovery and upward momentum over the past several months. This bullish narrative is further reinforced by A-Invest's report that Ethereum has surpassed Bitcoin in Q3 2025, delivering nearly 5 times higher returns. This outperformance is largely attributed to robust Ethereum spot ETF inflows of $10.53 billion in July alone, significantly outstripping Bitcoin's ETF inflows. We can observe these powerful fundamental drivers reflected in the daily chart, particularly the strong rally in July 2025. Notice the heavy volume accompanying these upward moves, especially from May 2024, November 2024, and the current rally in July 2025. Previously, Ethereum saw a notable dip in early August 2024, dropping below $2,000, and another significant pullback in early March 2025 to around $1,800, both representing important buying opportunities. However, these sharp corrections were followed by strong reversals, demonstrating underlying demand. The overall trend since early 2025 remains clearly bullish, with higher lows and higher highs forming consistently. Key long-term support levels now sit around the $2,400 to $2,500 zone, which acted as a major bounce point in early July 2025, as well as previous support around $2,800 to $2,900. The current price is hovering around the $3,800 to $3,900 resistance area, a level that has proven tough to break multiple times since May 2024. A sustained break above this could open the path towards the $4,000 psychological level and potentially new all-time highs, reflecting the positive institutional sentiment. Now, let's zoom in on the 1-hour chart to examine the short-term dynamics of this July rally. Looking at the period from early July, we see a strong impulse upward, indicating aggressive buying. There were brief periods of consolidation and minor pullbacks, such as the one seen around July 11th and 12th, offering potential re-entry points for short-term traders. These smaller corrections are healthy in an uptrend, allowing the market to digest gains before continuing higher. The resilience of the price around established support zones, even on shorter timeframes, shows consistent buyer interest. The significant perpetual futures volume dominance mentioned in the news, exceeding 60% for ETH, confirms this strong short-term directional liquidity favoring Ethereum. This heightened activity on derivatives also suggests traders are positioning for further upside in the near term. Transitioning to the 15-minute chart, specifically from July 25th to July 29th, we can observe the immediate price action leading up to some recent news. The news mentioned that on July 29th, Ethereum briefly tested $3,930 before retreating to $3,700. While our data here ends just before that exact moment, we can see the price approaching and attempting to breach the $3,900 level around July 28th. This highlights the volatility and the strong resistance encountered at these higher price points. For day traders, observing these microtrends on the 15-minute chart is crucial for identifying entry and exit points. The high volume on candles that test resistance and then pull back indicates profit-taking or strong selling pressure at these levels. Conversely, solid green candles with increasing volume suggest continuation of the bullish momentum. A successful breakout above the $3,800 to $3,900 resistance on this timeframe, confirmed by follow-through volume, would signal a strong continuation of the rally. In recap, the immediate outlook for ETHUSD remains bullish, heavily supported by overwhelming institutional interest and significant ETF inflows, as seen in the recent news. The current price of Ethereum on July 31, 2025, around $3,838, sits right at a critical resistance zone of $3,800 to $3,900. A sustained breakout above $3,900, with confirming high volume, has a high likelihood, perhaps 75%, of pushing ETH towards the next major psychological barrier at $4,000 and potentially higher. This would be reinforced by continued positive news on institutional adoption and favorable regulatory developments. Conversely, a rejection from this resistance could see a short-term pullback towards immediate support levels around $3,700, which has demonstrated resilience, and then deeper to $3,500. A break below $3,500, especially with increased selling volume, would have a moderate likelihood, around 40%, of retesting the stronger support at $3,200 to $3,300. Long-term, the overall trend points to continued outperformance due to Ethereum's foundational role in the new internet economy and ongoing technological upgrades. Key things to watch for include the daily close above or below the $3,800 to $3,900 resistance, consistency of ETF inflows data, and any major announcements regarding further institutional adoption or regulatory clarity. Always pay attention to volume, as it confirms the strength of price movements, and monitor the ETH/BTC exchange rate for broader market sentiment shifts. Remember, trading involves risk, and this analysis is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research and manage your risk accordingly.